Good morning, guys. Hi, everyone. I'm John. I'm Backyard Eden, and it is a great Thursday morning here. It's beautiful weather. I'd like to take this time to welcome you to the Backyard Eden live show. Can you hear me? Hmm. Can you hear me now? Hopefully, I don't have any issues. If you can hear me, let me know in the in the chat. Hmm. Hmm. Can you hear me? Sorry, guys, having some technical difficulties. Apparently, my audio is not working. Hello, hello. Hmm. Be right back, guys. Hello, hello. All right, we are back. Hopefully, um, it's gonna work now. Sorry, guys. I thought I had this whole live streaming thing figured out. I spent a couple of days last week just doing some little testing here and there, and I thought I had it all worked out. Apparently, there was still some bugs, if you will, in the issue, or bugs in the system, if you will. So just be patient with me, and we'll start talking about our fall garden in just a minute. I just want to make sure we are working good. Um, try to get this refreshed. All right, guys. So, like I was saying before, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to really the first ever um, Backyard Eden live stream. Um, like I said last week, we tried it out. I tried it out to work out some bugs, some kinks, if you will, to make sure we were good to go for this week. And I thought I had everything worked out, like I was saying, but obviously it's going to be kind of a gradual process. Hopefully, every day we'll learn a little bit more and we'll get a little bit better. And so I just hope you bear with me. But I'd like to welcome you to the live stream. My goal with this, guys, is to take this live streaming time each week and really just talk about things that are going on the homestead, in the garden, and just in general. So I'm going to actually have two live streaming times. And really, what that's for, guys, is to really give an opportunity for people to make it to the live stream. And so I'll have one that'll be during the day on Thursday, like this one here. Um, it'll be Thursday mornings at 11 o'clock. That is Central Standard Time. So if you're on the East Coast, obviously that'll be 12. Um, but in addition to that live stream, we'll also have one probably Tuesday or Wednesday night. I haven't figured out exactly which day and which time. I want to be respectful, guys, of all the other live streams that are going on during those time frames. I know if you're in the YouTube homesteading uh, world, if you will, I know that there are some other live streams that happen on Tuesday and on Wednesday. Just right off the top of my head, a couple that I watch that would definitely recommend you checking out. On Tuesday night, that 1870s Homestead does their live stream, and then on Wednesday, I want to say that there used to be a couple of live streams. I don't want to tell you wrong and say a particular one or anything like that. But then, of course, Thursday's booked. And there's some good stuff on Thursday, like I said, and on Friday as well. So, but right now, kind of the idea is I want to live stream on Thursday mornings, and then I want to live stream either Tuesday or Wednesday nights. Now, moving forward, that Tuesday or Wednesday night live stream will be just general what's going on in the homestead, what's going on in the garden, what we're doing this week here, plans, anything like that. We may even get into some different things with that live stream. But the Thursday morning one, not starting today, but after today, will be a very specific show. It'll be geared toward like practical prepping, and so that is something that I've not really shared or expressed on my channel up until now, but it is something that I'm very interested in. I'm very interested in prepping. I'm interested in our family as a whole being prepared. And so that's something that will look different for each and every family, but it's something that we are very interested in, and very we feel very driven to be prepared. And so just a little bit about our family. Our family is ever growing and ever changing, if you will. I've shared this before in a previous video. If you haven't checked those videos out, go back and watch some of those videos. Uh, but our family, my wife and I, we are foster parents. So we have an ever changing lineup of kiddos in our house. We do have one biological daughter. If you're not familiar, she is just turned 12 in July. I say just turned, but that's been a couple of months. So she's 12. And so she will be, you can see her from time to time in videos and things like that, and possibly even live streams. But the other kiddos, we have four other kiddos, ages 1, 2, 3, yeah, 1, 2, 3, yeah, and 7. So those kiddos, because they're foster children, can't be on social media. They can't be any sort of pictures or on YouTube. So um, as a matter of fact, if you follow the Aldermans, here a while back, probably in mid-May, they shared a picture of us in one of their videos, and we had to hide the other kids. And so my wife and I and our oldest daughter just instinctively, we've been doing this for 2 years now, just instinctively stepped in front of the other kiddos to block them. And so it was a great time. It was great meeting the Aldermans there, and we met a lot of other people out at that was the great Homesteading conference. Had a great time, great conference. But anyway, so that's just a little bit about our ever-changing family. One of those foster kiddos we plan to adopt. It's just not happening yet. So hopefully soon. Um, but yeah, so that's really enough about that. So let's get into the topic for today. The topic for today for this live stream is we're talking about fall gardening. And so fall gardening for me may look a little different than fall gardening for you. And that's the beauty. The kind of unique thing about gardening is it's different for every person. Um, if you are new to the channel, or if you just don't remember, but we are in the Lone Star State. We are in Texas, and Texas is kind of its own beast, if you will. It's very different um, than any other state, really. The beauty and the cool thing about Texas is it really it really has every microclimate um, that you could really hope for. And so we are in Zone 8A. We're just outside of Dallas, and so pretty much we have three types of weather. There is a fourth that's a little bit more rare, but we have three types of weather: hot, hotter, and woo. And so, and then that fourth really rare type of weather is, um, cooler weather, fall weather, winter weather, if you will. And so, uh, so gardening in Texas can be very challenging. Spring is an awesome time of the year for gardening. Summer, more challenging, definitely more challenging. The temperatures here definitely range in the triple digits for most of the summer. And in addition to triple digits, we also have a good amount of humidity. Now, I will say that I've lived in Louisiana before. I've lived in Southeast Texas, down in Houston, and the humidity is definitely a little bit more extreme in both of those areas. But we do have some humidity, and so that can make things challenging. But um, our fall garden, we're getting ready to kick off that fall garden. I say kick off. A lot of people have already started their fall gardens. If you really jump on, if you follow anybody on Facebook or you're in Facebook gardening groups or homestead groups, a lot of those people they're already getting stuff going. They've already got stuff growing. Um, and so it's pretty crazy to think about it, but we are just really starting our fall garden here. And I can really, in the past, I've waited as late as um, really mid October to plant and still got a harvest. And so that is not the goal right now, is to wait that long. But we are waiting a little longer because the temperatures have just got cool. And so I say cool, I say it's really cooler. And so we really don't have super cool weather here, but um, so with that being said, we're just getting ready to start our fall garden. And so it's kind of interesting. The weather is just now dipped into the 70s at night. And so with that, the 70-degree weather is lovely. I mean, I can't, there's no other way to describe it. After going through an entire hot summer, hello, RG Homestead. Good morning to you. How are you today? I'm doing great. Um, the summer temperatures, after surviving, really, if you will, just surviving the summer temperatures, uh, the 70s are, I mean, it's like beautiful. So, with that being said, we're talking about fall gardening and how, we here in Texas, just outside Dallas, we're just now getting started to really put in some fall garden. And kind of the plans, I don't really know uh, how else to really say this, but I'm really trying to be a little smarter and a little lazier, if that makes sense. So I'll kind of explain that. Um, I want to be smarter about gardening moving forward, because the amount of time that I've been devoting to work and to my daughter's softball, time is getting really thin. Um, and so it's really starting to take a toll on how the garden is performing. Um, During the summer, the garden it did pretty good considering the triple digit temperatures, but I want to be smarter about it in how I plan the garden. Planning the garden is super important. I want to be smarter about uh, what I'm trying to grow and the amounts of those things. Um, so our plans for next. So our plans, RG says our plans for next year here in Arizona is to get the ground ready early next spring for our garden, and it'll be our first one in this area. Well, that's really awesome. Um, so you are on a new homestead and you're putting in a garden for the first time. That's awesome. Even if you're just moving the garden to a new spot, that's pretty awesome. I can't imagine Arizona in the summertime. What is your temperatures average in your area, RG? Uh, yeah, I can't imagine living in Arizona. We will be going through Arizona briefly. We'll be going through Arizona in late October. We'll be going through Arizona. We'll be going through New Mexico, through Arizona, into Las Vegas in late October. We're actually going to Vegas for a softball tournament. So our crazy softball life. So yeah, we'll be going through there. So I'm going to get to see Arizona for the first time. I'm actually really sheltered. I have not been to a lot of states, so I'm going to be learning. Hopefully, that's a great time to go through Arizona and New Mexico and be in Vegas because um, really, I know Vegas is pretty hot too. Oh, okay. All right. Hey, so that's pretty sweet. Um, so at 5,500 feet. Wow. Okay. So 80s. That's nice. Now, is that in the middle of, that's in the middle of summer or is that right now? Sometimes we can get into the hundreds. Yeah. And I jokingly say to my wife all the time, we need to move because, like I said, like I was saying earlier, we live in Texas. The temperatures are pretty crazy, and it's in the hundreds a lot. And so I jokingly say to her all the time, "Hey, we need to move somewhere that actually has four seasons." Because, like I was saying, we really have uh, really just two seasons, hot and hotter. Um, so yeah, um, yeah, RG, I think that's the way we're going. I think we're going 40. I haven't planned out the route too much yet. We were waiting to get my daughter just joined a new softball team, and so we were waiting to see if the tournament was made official. Like if we were like actually going. Sometimes we can get like a tentative schedule, and so the uh, the tentative schedule came out, and we were actually scheduled to be in Florida at that same time. And then I started to plan our trip to Florida, and then that kind of got changed, and now we're going to Vegas. So I've kind of looked at it a little bit. I've kind of briefly looked at routes, and because it's about, I think I looked at it, it's about an 18 and a half hour drive. We will be driving through there. Just because of the amount of gear and things that we're taking, we don't want to necessarily try to get that on a plane and check it and all that sort of stuff. But so yeah, I think we'll be going 40 um, through. So, but I'll be looking more at that kind of the itinerary, if you will, the closer we get to that time. And we'll be booking hotels and all that sort of stuff because we're gonna have to break up the trip a little bit. But yeah, definitely interested to see how New Mexico and Arizona and Vegas are, especially this time of year. I've considered before moving to New Mexico, and just because in certain areas it's really, really just very, very little population. And as I was sharing earlier, I'm very interested in prepping. I've been prepping, just casually prepping for a number of years, and so my wife, she she likes the idea, but I don't think she's really sold on it just yet. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna enjoy going through those states. So, okay, so so 80s at 5,500 feet. So that's early spring. Oh, okay, yeah. You might need sunscreen over the top. Yet, I th- honestly, RG, I think that's what I'm gonna do next year. I think, and I know we're really talking about fall gardening right now, or that was the idea, but I think next year, I think I'm going to have to put some screens up, some shade cloth, if you will, because it's just crazy hot. My tomatoes this year, they did pretty good in early summer, did real well, got a decent harvest. But toward that, what is it? Late June, early July, they really started to taper off. The growth was still there. They were growing a little bit, but they were not setting flowers or anything like that. And I grow a variety. I don't know if you followed me on social media or anything like that, but I grow kind of a variety. Some big tomatoes, some little tomatoes, and they just, I don't know, they shut down here in early July through mid July. This is when they really start shutting down. Of course, August is our hottest month, and so, well, the early part of August is our hottest month. So, but yeah, so you might look into some sunshade or some shade cloth. That could be a good thing to do. I haven't explored this option a lot. I've kind of looked at it a little bit, kind of planned it, still trying to work out some details. But one of the things I thought about doing is putting up some post, concreting some post in the ground, and then running a cable system along the garden, depending on where I'm at in the garden, but basically running a cable system, and that the shade cloth will attach to the cable so that you could move the shade cloth. You can move it all. You kind of move it along as you need it. So it's kind of the idea right now. I may try that for my tomatoes, but I've also got a cattle panel greenhouse that really set unused this year during the summer. So it worked awesome for my fall, winter, and early spring needs, but it really just set unused during that summer. So I may try and remove the plastic from it and then put up some shade cloth over it and use that for some tomatoes. I don't know. We'll see. Definitely, I'll keep y'all informed on it. I'll be posting videos along the way, depending on whatever I do, or both, however that works out. But yeah, you may consider some shade cloth. So, oh, okay, yeah. I really am. I'm pretty sure that's the way we'll go. I'm pretty sure we'll go I-40. I know from here we'll be going through Amarillo, and I think that's probably where we'll stay the first night. We're going to try to break up the trip in kind of two parts. Um, and so we're going to be going, we'll probably stay in Amarillo and then get up the next morning and finish the drive in. I'm not sure. Like I said, I have to go back and look at the route. I don't want to tell you wrong. I'm not too familiar with that part of Texas. I grew up in the east, the East Texas area, and so, but yeah, that's definitely awesome. I would love to see the Hoover Dam. That's something that's definitely on my list to see at some point. So, wow, okay. So you get monsoons in late June all the way up to late August. Wow. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So that's definitely those climates that we were talking about. How you can get a variety of climates all in the same area. Okay, yeah. So between Flagstaff and Williams. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so that's kind of the plan. And so I've got to get. I've said earlier that I've waited as late as mid October um, to really plant the garden before. I can't do that. Can't do that all the time. But so what I've got to do now. Sorry, my wife is texting me. So what I got to do now is really make sure to get everything. I mean everything planted and ready to go. The really cool thing is I've shared in videos before, and I'll share it again. Is the really cool thing is my entire garden is on drip irrigation. It was a big job to get it all set up on irrigation, but it took a little while. It took a little bit of money, but it was definitely worth it because in the summertime, it's not it's not all traditional drip. Um, I've got some that it's drip, and then I've got some that are like sprinklers. They're called vortex sprinklers, and so in the summertime I can adjust it and I can have it come on basically a couple of times a day or however many times I need it to come on. And so I do most of my watering in the evening time. Um, so I usually in the summer I'll usually add and I'll do morning and evening. And so I just got to make sure that all. Sorry, it looks like I'm having some issues. I hope that works out. Um, Seeing a little glitch on the screen. So yeah, I've got to make sure that everything's ready to go before I head out to Vegas. So we'll be out there. We won't be out there long. We'll just be out there for I don't know 4 or 5 days. Um, but with the wife having all the kids, and because it'll just be my oldest daughter and myself that go, because we have all the other kids, and so it's because it's not a family vacation. It's just for softball. If it was a family vacation, we'd get it everybody approved to go because you have to have approval, and then we would head out. But I gotta have all that stuff done before I head out, so I have to get my fall garden planted, which makes me go back to my original comment of being a little smarter. And so my plan for that, my plan to be a little smarter in the garden, is a couple of things. So I'm going to plant um, really a variety of things in the garden. All the traditional fall crops. I'll have broccoli and I'll have cabbage and I'll have carrots and beets and turnips. Um, and I'll even get some squash in the ground, some summer squash, and I'll still get a harvest. I mean, I can plant that seed in the ground and I'll still get a harvest before frost. And so my plan is to go through and I'm going to plant transplants. I'm going to go buy some transplants of broccoli and some cabbage, maybe some cauliflower. We love cauliflower, um, but it tends to do a little bit better in spring for us. So, whereas broccoli does a little bit better in the fall for us. So, it's all about knowing when that stuff works for you. But you're definitely going to plant some transplants. But then, in addition to that, I'm actually going to go ahead and do some succession planting. And I'm going to go ahead and start some seeds by direct sowing them in the garden. And what I'm going to work toward this goal is by spring, everything will be direct seeded in the garden, with the exception of peppers, eggplant, and tomatoes. And those will be started directly in the greenhouse. I started some as a trial this year. They did really well, surprisingly. And so I was not sure of the timing and how the cooler temperatures would affect it because I've always started them inside. You can see over my shoulder right here, that is my seed starting shelf. And I've got some trays over there. I don't have anything in those particular trays. I do have some kale and some chard and things like that planted, and they're up and growing. But that's kind of my plan for fall garden. So, all right. So RG says in October we get cold, and it would be hard to grow in our area. We've considered getting a greenhouse for that, but the winds may be a problem. Yeah. Um, Speaking of winds, you'll see this in an upcoming video. But speaking of winds, this is the second year that our greenhouse. We've had a different. Okay, so let me back up. Let me back up a little bit. So this is our second greenhouse. The first greenhouse we built, let's see, 3 years ago, and it was just a simple PVC hoop. It was really just a high tunnel. If you're familiar with the high tunnel versus greenhouse, high tunnels are unheated, greenhouses are heated, which that brings up another topic. But so the hoop house did well. The high tunnel, if you will, it did well. We put it up in, I think it was October that year, and we put all of our summer pepper plants into the greenhouse, and they kept producing. It did well. It kept producing all the way. I mean, I was harvesting habanero peppers in January. And if you're familiar with habanero peppers or really any peppers, you know they really like hot temperatures. And so um, that was sort of like, hey, that's awesome. I mean, that was an accomplishment. But in the spring, that greenhouse, the plastic ripped, the wind caught it, the plastic ripped, and it was just bad. Because where we're at, it's kind of weird. We're in a subdivision, so I mean, we're a suburban homestead, an urban homestead, if you will, and our whole plot, if you will, our whole lot is only 0.14 of an acre. It's really super small. And so, but where we're at, the way our neighborhood is designed, we're sort of on a little bit of a hill. And so we get crazy winds. And so the winds ripped the plastic, really just destroyed any hopes of using that greenhouse or that high tunnel again. And so we wanted last year to go in and build something that was going to be a little bit more sturdy, that was going to withstand the winds and anything that we might throw at it, or a softball if were practicing in the backyard. Um, and so we went in and did the cattle panel greenhouse. And we initially saw, it was not my idea. The initial plan, the initial video that I saw was Texas Prepper 2. He did a video several years ago of a cattle panel greenhouse, and it was awesome. And so I just was hooked. I needed to do it. Our yard is small, so it was going to work great. The small dimensions of it. So we built that in the fall and covered it in plastic, and it worked. I mean, it was fantastic. The structure is just amazing. It worked great until this year. The structure is still great. It's the plastic. The plastic. I will say that we didn't go with actual true greenhouse plastic. We went with a cheaper kind of version because I wanted to be able to take it off and not, and that way I could put shade cloth on it or whatever I wanted to do. So we just bought some cheaper plastic from our local Walmart, and it worked all the way through the season. So that was worth the money I spent. I only spent $25 on the plastic itself, and it worked great. I started all my seeds in it for the spring and summer garden, so it worked really great. Um, so definitely, wind can be an issue. I would first off, I would make sure to plan. Excuse me. Uh, First off, I'd make sure to try to plan a greenhouse or a high tunnel with a great structure because it's definitely important. But on top of that, I would buy actual greenhouse plastic. I don't know the size of the greenhouse or the high tunnel that you're wanting to build, but definitely think about investing in the plastic. Um, because our plastic lasted a year, was $25. Still great, great price, great option. But if you want it to last, that's not the plastic for you. You can definitely check out Greenhouse Superstore, or no, it's greenhousemegastore.com. They've got pretty much anything you would need for greenhouses. So yeah, and you could also look into a submerged. That's not the right word. Kind of like a underground greenhouse. I think they call them wallapinis or walpinis or something like that. Basically, it's where they dig out a portion of the ground and then they just have the top of the greenhouse at the surface of the ground. So that's definitely something you can check into. Um, yeah. Oh, well. So we grow in a couple of different ways. We grow in raised beds, and we grow raised beds, and we have some containers. And then also in addition to that, we have like a back to Eden style area that's closer. It's more or less in the front yard. Um, and I kind of get away with it, thankfully. Um, so we grow in those different types of methods, but primarily we grow in raised beds, and that's they've been working great. Um, and so, but definitely that's raised beds are the way to go. I think RG. I don't know how your soil there. I mean, I know you talked about building the soil earlier. Definitely something to think about because you can kind of control where the nutrients go with the raised bed, and that's kind of the whole bonus there. Man, do you have a lot of problems with deer, or have you? I mean, do they come on? I mean, have you seen them on your property? Yeah, deer can be an issue. We don't really have that here because, like I said, we're in an urban area, but we do have rabbits, so I completely understand there. And then the other thing we have here because of the area that we're in, there's been a lot of new construction, and so new houses being put up in our subdivision, and so because of that, there's a couple of fields close to the houses, and so when they go through and they mow, we get field rats. Kind of a weird thing. You wouldn't think that a rat would eat fresh vegetables, but they really love them. And so that's probably the biggest issue between that and rabbits that we've had. And so what I've found is I don't. I'm all organic, so we don't use any sort of poisons or any sort of pesticides or any sort of synthetic fertilizers in our garden. So there's not a lot of options outside of that I have found that work for those pests. So the fence is probably going to be your best bet. And so, yeah, yeah. And you know what? I've seen that too. A lot of people here are talking about a colder winter this year. Not just change subjects there, but a lot of people here because we had such a hot summer. And then last year, of course, here we didn't have a winter really. I mean, we had a few cold days, but so a lot of people were really predicting that here too, RG. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really what did the plastic in is the sun. The sun really did it in, and of course the repeated wind. And so um, the plans for our greenhouse this year is because I've waited so long. I'm gonna go ahead and just do the same plastic again because it's readily available, and then but in addition to that, there's a small chance that we'll be moving here in this house. We live in this house and we rent. Our landlord is very great. He lets us do all the stuff we want to do here. And so, because of that, and because of the small piece of land, we have limited things, limited opportunities, limited possibilities, if you will, with certain things. That's one of the reasons we don't have more livestock, is because of the size of the lot, but we're also urban. And so, but the plan this year is to go ahead and use the same plastic again. I know the $25 plastic at Walmart will get me that whole year. It'll get me through seed starting season, through the winter, and all of that. And then next year, I'm going to order the plastic sooner. And so that way I can get it covered probably in September versus trying to cover it in October. Um, so I know that sounds kind of crazy, um, and then of course there is some other plans I'll be talking about in an upcoming video as well. Um, we're going to work on getting some heat in the greenhouse. Um, right now we're looking at using thermal mass. So basically the idea with that, if you're not familiar with thermal mass, is using some sort of container with water that will basically collect the heat from the sun, and then when it goes, when nighttime comes, it'll slowly release that heat into the greenhouse. And so we're going to look at doing that, and we're going to do that in two ways. We'll talk about, like I said, we'll talk about it more in an upcoming video, but kind of the ways we're going to do it is we're going to put in a like a paver floor, and so that paver floor will hopefully catch a little bit of that heat and release it slowly. But in addition to that, we'll also put in some containers of water that will most likely be painted black. Black really just helps to attract, or not attract is not the right word there, but really capture the heat. And so that's what we're going to do. If it really stayed warm in there for the most part, there were only a couple of days that dropped below where I wanted it to be. And I don't want to use any sort of heat. I want to be self-sufficient there. I don't want to have to put any sort of electric heater out there because it could be a fire risk. So, but hopefully that's the plans. Hopefully that'll work out. So yeah, so you've seen the sunken greenhouses. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really considering that. You know, if and when we move, the idea we really want to get more land, and so that we can kind of expand the homestead. We got a lot going on here. We've got some ducks and we've got some different things. We want to get into rabbits this year. It's starting to run out of time on the rabbits. Definitely don't want to add them in summer, but definitely want to add them this year if I can. But yeah, the sunken greenhouse, I think it's an awesome idea. I know that Homesteadonomics, I think, on YouTube has a video on his, which is it's a pretty cool one. But I would see the only thing I saw that I would be concerned about is water runoff. So I'd have to have a plan on water runoff because, well, it's probably not like you, but we do get quite a bit of rain here in the spring and fall. I mean, as a matter of fact, it's been raining for about 4 or 5 days straight. It's just kind of cleared up today. And so we get quite a bit in the spring and fall. So I would be concerned about some water runoff. But other than that, I think it's a great idea. Oh, okay, so you have 20 acres. That's awesome, man. 20 acres. Woo. You can do a lot on 20 acres. So, and you have deer and elk that go through. Well, that's awesome. So, do you have plans to? I don't know if the area you're in, but do you plan on hunting? Because that would be a great sustainable food source. Yeah, 20 acres, man, that would be awesome to have. I think we've kind of looked at some land. I don't know that we've really looked at anything that's that big. We've really just been looking in the 5 to 10 range, and the 5 to 10 range is really, I mean, that's a lot when you're talking about where we live now. We live on 0.14, so 3/4 of an acre would be a lot. But yeah, 20 acres is pretty awesome. So what all do y'all have planned for that 20 acres? Because that sounds pretty amazing. Oh, and you can. So yeah, the birds do plant a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I've got a couple of mulberry trees that the birds planted. 2 years ago? A couple of the neighbors have some mulberry trees, and the birds planted a couple. I have two now in the front over beside the house that the birds planted. So yep. Oh, okay. So you can hunt on your own land. That's awesome. I know that. Man, an elk. Well, really, a deer will fill the freezer pretty good, but I know an elk is considerably. I mean, that's an elk will really fill the freezer. So I wish we lived in an area where I could hunt a little bit more from my own property. If I hunted from my own property, I wouldn't get anything except for the occasional rabbit. and then probably get arrested for shooting. So, but I definitely, I've hunted over the years, and I love to deer hunt. I love to hog hunt. I don't know if y'all have an issue with an overabundance of hogs, but we have quite a few in this area, and it's nothing new to be able to get a hog. Really, you can get one every week. There's a real season, if you will, here, unless they've changed something in the last couple of years. There's no real season for hog, but so you could get one every week and just be just completely stocked up on meat all year long. And they get pretty good size. I know there are a lot of them get. I mean, I've seen some really big ones. It's a lot better to take the smaller ones. The meat tends to be a little more um, tender, if you will. So, excuse me. Oh, yeah, the shooting range. Awesome. Oh, nice. Yeah. So, what kind of fruit trees are you going to plant? Yeah, well, that's something we've been wanting to do. It's just hard with the amount of space that we have. I've been trying to stay with fruit bushes, if you will. I've got this year I planted one raspberry. I planted two blackberries, but only one took. Um, it's just the summer. Yeah, I planted them too late. Really, you should plant those in spring, and it just didn't like the sun. And so, but I have one raspberry, one blackberry. I have the two mulberry trees that are still growing. They're not quite to the fruiting age. So, and then I have two Thompson seedless grapes, and then one blueberry. And so those are what I've got going on. I really would love to have an orchard. I'm super big into the permaculture idea, and that's one thing that I definitely want to do when we get our new property, whenever that is really put a lot into an orchard and really just a whole permaculture style system. It really is an awesome way to grow. I mean, it just you're feeding the soil's feeding you, and so it's a really awesome thing. And so apple, cherry, and peach. Oh, that's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we love all three of those, and so those are definitely. I don't know that cherries will really do well here for us. Apples, there are varieties of apples that do well here. Peach definitely does well here, but I'll be adding um, quite a few different fruit trees to the mix. If you I know that I follow the Texas Boys here on YouTube as well as on social media, and I have fruit tree uh, fruit. uh, Man, I have orchard envy, if you will, because they're constantly planting a lot of great stuff out there, and one day I'll have an orchard like that. But they have a lot of cool stuff. So we'll definitely plant some apples. We'll plant some peaches. I love pears. Um, I would love to do that. I really want to have some U pick options. Um, it really gets into kind of an interesting situation there. Do you value security of your place and a safe location, kind of on the prepping side of things, if you value that, or if you want to value, starting a business and having like a farm. And so I'm kind of trying to decide which route I want to go, or if I can make both work. And so, but definitely, we would love to have like a U pick. My wife and I, we both, and really the entire family, love blackberries. Um, and so we would love to have something like that. But yeah, that's definitely awesome. What what others do you plan on adding others to that at some point? I think we would love to have like a lime or a lemon tree. I know that you probably could get away with that. You could probably get away with that in Arizona. I don't know that I can get away with it here. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to cover it. Um, but we eat. I mean, like a lot of things using lime or lemon, and so and then avocados as well. We would love to have an avocado tree, but it it's just not quite right for those things here, and so we would have to figure out a way. Either go with like a high tunnel and put those things in it and keep them pruned back. But oh, so you're okay, yeah, yeah. So you're so far off the beaten path, and that's okay. So just to be honest with you, um, I grew up in the country, and so I'm completely okay with the only person around. I know I'm doing this whole YouTube thing and I'm on social media and all over the place, but I am just totally okay with being the only person around. Um, I grew up in the country, I could live in the country where the nearest neighbor was 10 miles away and not have an issue with it. Because I would be growing my own food and raising my own livestock, and I would not need anything. I mean, I would go into town occasionally for the bare essentials. Um, but yeah, my wife, however, is the different story. My wife and my kiddos. My oldest daughter is uh, very much a socialite, in a sense that she loves being around people, and that's great. And I love being around people too. I'm not necessarily what you would call an introvert, um, but I think I would just almost rather choose to be by myself in the country. So I know that's crazy, but I would totally be okay living up in the mountains on 20 acres. So off the beaten path, that's a good thing. That's a great thing. And okay, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. I didn't think about that. The elevation, yeah. I got you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. The grapes. Um, this is their first year, and I didn't really put up a video on that. I've got some footage. I may try to work that into a video coming up, or I might try to put something together. But I planted them in like mm, late April, early May. It was right around right around the Great Appalachian Homesteading Conference is when I planted them, and they're doing great. I knew that I probably wasn't going to get any fruit this year, but they're doing great. The They're Thompson seedless, and I bought them in the little, I don't know, the little package, I don't know, like this, and you can buy it at like Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, all that sort of stuff, all those different types of stores. I think I paid like $7 a piece, so a pretty good price. And I planted them. I mean, I added a little bit of like fertilizer to it, like organic fertilizer, and I added some worm castings to the hole. But outside of that, I didn't really do anything special, and they're growing like crazy. So crazy, I may have to look at how I'm going to trellis them and do a little bit better job at trellis them because they're growing pretty great. And so, but yeah, um, definitely check into some varieties that may work there. I know there's tons of different varieties out there. Um, but yeah, definitely check into that and see what variety grows best in your area. Totally understand the lime and the lemon. I mean, they're tropical. I mean, there's no way to put it. I mean, here, the coldest we get really here is in the teens. I mean, I think I've seen single digits twice, and I'm in my mid 30s. So maybe twice in my lifetime that I can remember. So even here, the lime and the lemons are a hard sell. So I couldn't understand. I didn't even think about elevation changing things out there. So I don't know if I could do sub-zero temps. I don't want to do hot temps, but I definitely don't want to do sub-zero temps either. So you can only put on so many layers before it gets weird and clumsy to walk. So okay, so when I pass Crockton off the ramp, just weave, and you just passed our place. Okay, cool. I would like to say that that I'm gonna have time to stop by and say hi, but honestly, I have no idea. I more than likely will not. Um, so that's cool. Um, but yeah, I'll definitely be looking through the area and seeing what the area has to offer, what is going on there, and how the area is. Because like I said, we want to move, we want to get some land. We don't really have one place set in mind. Our daughter, who's like I said earlier, who's 12, she's going to school 30 minutes east of where we're at right now because that's where my wife works. Um, and so she goes to school there, and so we've got two kind of thoughts. One being that we may just kind of hold off on the homestead, the forever homestead, if you will, until she graduates high school, which will be like she just started her seventh grade year, so like 6 more years if you include this one. And so we talked about holding off on the homestead until she graduates and goes off to college, and then picking somewhere to move. And, in the time from now until then, just kind of work on our systems and kind of get plans in place and save up money and all of that sort of stuff. So, and then pick. The other option is to buy land and start our homestead now. And so we're kind of, I mean, we haven't decided. We're really kind of trying to weigh the options out. So, but I'm always on the lookout for a place that would be uh, cool to live and, that would suit our needs. So, yeah, I'll definitely be checking. I'll be looking when I drive through. So, oh, -9. Ooh, man, that's cold. I uh, I wear shorts all the time. Matter of fact, I'm wearing shorts right now. And I will continue to wear shorts until probably mid-January, until it's 20s outside or teens. And so, but -9, that's not happening. Not happening because that means I got to wear pants, not shorts. So, um, oh yeah, yeah. I've looked at some land in New Mexico and really kind of thought about it. Um, so right now, I think if I had to just throw out something as far as where I've looked at would consider right now would be Arkansas. Would definitely be on the list. The, the whole really the whole state of Arkansas is not. I mean, there are some areas you go into like Little Rock and different big cities like that, and they're pretty well populated, but really anywhere outside of those big cities is really sparsely populated. And so I looked at some property on Land Flip, I think, and it was pretty good. I mean, it was like 40 acres with an off-grid cabin for like $75,000. And so cabin completely built. So that's a pretty good thing. And so we're completely okay with off-grid. As I've shared before in some different videos and stuff, and on Facebook and all, but we're completely okay with off grid. My wife is a little hesitant with off grid plumbing, mainly the toilet situation. She's not completely sold on a composting toilet, but other than that, so that pretty much opens up anything. Um, we've talked about using a camper until we get a house built. I've got I can do some carpentry, and so there's a lot of things I can do. There are a few things I would have to still have help on, but so I've pretty much got an open kind of idea. We could really just go anywhere. So we want to find the place that fits for us. So Oh yeah, yeah. See, I we went to what I was saying earlier is we went to the Great Appalachian Homesteading Conference in May, and that's in Tennessee. That's in Cookeville, Tennessee, and I had never been to Tennessee. My mom was from Tennessee. I say from because she passed away just earlier this year in August, and so but she was from Tennessee, and so she loved it, and so we went to Tennessee by way of Arkansas, and so we went through Arkansas, and it really is. It's a gorgeous state. Um, it's beautiful. We've been to Arkansas before that. We went to Arkadelphia and Hot Springs, um, but it's an awesome state. I know that you know like I said before, my wife is not super crazy about the idea of living in the middle of nowhere, but and so that's going to be a lot of the areas there are going to be. So we're going to have to find to satisfy her and to satisfy, um, you know, the kiddos, and we don't want to take them completely out of, school and all that. We want them to still be a part of that. I love the idea of homeschooling, but um, we're not completely sold. It'll just depend on where we're at and the kind of the season that we're in our life. But the so we're gonna have to get somewhat close to a larger town, at least somewhat close. That way, the wife can still go into town when she needs uh, to shop or when she wants to shop or whatever else. And so, um, okay, so you're totally off grid. All right, that is awesome. So you haul water to the ranch, uh, which with propane, which works for us. It's not everybody's choice. You have to make an adjustment to that. Yeah, you definitely do. Um, I will say that when I was growing up, we lived. My dad and my mom split up. I know it's crazy personal, but whatever. Um, they split up when I was 8, and so from about that time to almost 9 years old, so almost a full year. Um, my dad and myself and my older brother, I have one older brother who is 8 years older. We moved to a completely new town in the country, which we were kind of in the country before, but we moved to even further out in the country. And my dad built us out. He built our house from scratch, from the ground up. And so I had a tremendous amount of respect for him being able to do that, being smart enough to know that and how to do that. And so, but for a good period of time there, we had to carry our water from a local artesian well, um, just to be able to cook and drink and have water and all of that. And so completely have respect for you in that sense. Hauling water is no joke, especially if you have to haul it for livestock and all of that as well. And so completely have respect for you. Um, so that's awesome. Though it is a big adjustment to living off grid, and so I think that's what I fear the most for my wife. Um, I don't think I would have any sort of issue with it. My kids, oh yeah, oh yeah. The oldest would have withdrawals. She would have she would have Netflix withdrawals, and so it would definitely be an adjustment. So yeah, it once that adjustment period is over, I think it's going to be good, But I know y'all understand that, and so as far as the adjustment period, so but that's awesome. That is awesome that you're off grid. That's definitely something that we would like to do. We want to be completely self sufficient on our homestead when we get our property finally. So definitely have mad respect for you. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. As I was sharing earlier, the plans for the live streaming, um, Thursdays are going to be more specific to prepping, practical prepping, if you will. So we'll look at just a couple of ideas here. We'll look at things like what items you should be prepping, um, and things like that, and how to go about that, how to start, how to just finally start prepping, and how to maybe prep on a budget, because a lot of people, the biggest thing is money. Is okay, well, I don't have the money. So we'll talk about some prepping ideas and some different strategies and things like that. That's the plan for the Thursday live show. And then, like I said before, we'll probably do a live show on either Tuesday or Wednesday night. And so definitely check back with that. A couple little things, just to give you an idea. We've got, if you are not, I don't know if y'all follow me on Facebook, but definitely check us out on Facebook. We have our Backyard Eden and Friends Facebook group. That is a great way to connect with us on a daily basis. Post pictures of what you may be doing around your homestead, and just share what you're doing. I mean, I want to be a part of your adventure as much as you're wanting to be a part of mine. And so I'm very happy to have all of our subscribers over on YouTube. Um, and so I want to be a part of your journey. I want to know what you're working on, and maybe we can help each other along the way. So definitely come join us over there on the Facebook group if you're not already. There'll be a link in the description below when this video publishes. And then also, if you are not following us on Instagram and Facebook, definitely follow us over there. I've been kind of relaxed on it the last little bit because we've been so crazy busy, but there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. And so we'll get back to posting regularly there. Yeah, RG, definitely. Happy wife. The saying is happy wife, happy life. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That is definitely the saying. And she will let you know if she's not happy. I love my wife dearly. We just celebrated our 12th anniversary, and so it is an amazing thing. A lot of marriages don't make it that long nowadays, so definitely. Yes, sir. Yes, RG. Can I? What, excuse me. Definitely check it out. We would love to have you over there. Um, it's been great, guys, chatting with you, and I will definitely look forward to seeing y'all next time around. But as for that, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope your garden. Oh, that is awesome! 27 years going on 20, or excuse me, 26 going on 27. That is amazing. My hat's off to you guys. That is definitely a feat nowadays. It's definitely, um, marriage is an idea that people just don't view it the same way anymore, and so definitely understand that. Very, very awesome. I hope you at least that many more to come. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It was been great having you. Definitely look forward to chatting with you again. And with that, I will see you next time.